Hi everyone, it's Paul from Alexander Knife Sharpening. I thought it would be a good time to give you guys an update on the laser engraver, how that's going, my opinion of it, and just talk about all the different details and things about it now that I've had a really good chance to use it at my business here of knife sharpening. So basically, a little backstory. About 3 years ago, I had a customer come to me that wanted 150 knives engraved. And at the time, I had no way of doing it, and I had to refer that out to somebody else. But that was when I first got interested in the laser engravers. But at the time, to have a engraver that engraved on metal was one whole separate laser, and they were running about $5,000. And then if you wanted to do softer stuff like woods and plastics, that was a completely different laser. So I decided to wait at that time, and I actually ended up waiting like 3 years. And I'm kind of glad that I did. So when I saw that Laser Pecker, who's the company that makes this laser, was coming out with a Laser Pecker 4, which they advertised was going to be capable of engraving on just about everything, I was like, wow, I'm really interested in that. So this particular laser has technically two lasers in it. It has a 1064 nanometer laser that is made for engraving metals, and then it has a 450 nanometer laser. And they're actually two different lasers too. So one is a diode laser and one is an infrared laser, and it's all built into the same machine. And the other really cool thing that has happened over the past couple years is that diode laser technology has really come a long way, and so they're getting a lot more performance and speed out of these than they were 3 years ago when I first started looking at them. The other great thing is the price is a lot more reasonable now. So this entire machine cost me a little over $2,000, but the machine itself was just about $1,500. But I got a lot of little extras with it that I decided to get that weren't really necessary, but I thought they would be cool. So one of the extras I got was a rotary. So this is for doing tumblers and glasses and anything that's round. And this has been really cool, and I'll show you some pictures of some Yeti mugs that I did for, or Yeti, I guess they're tumblers or ramblers. I think they call them ramblers. That I did for my wife for a girls' weekend. I also got, and I'll just kind of pan the camera down here on the floor. So that thing on the floor is an extension that slides for doing like bigger signs and things. And that's a big cutting plate on there too. So that's for cutting things. So I got that. The gray thing is the case for the laser. But let's come back up here just to the laser, and I'll continue talking about that. So the other change you'll see now, before when I did the update, I didn't have the enclosure for it. I had to order it, but they just weren't out yet. So the lasers came out before this case came. So I built my own. It was what I did in the meantime to capture smoke and things that happen with the laser. And as you can see, I've shown before, but I will just update you guys again and give you a quick look here. On the floor here in my shop, you'll see there's a hose that leads to a regular exhaust fan that runs all the way out my shop door. And that's how I take the fumes from the laser engraver out of my shop. And that's real important if you see these online and on YouTube and places like that, because that's the predominant place you're probably going to see one of these, or maybe Instagram. You kind of might get the impression that oh, you can just go do this in your kitchen or anywhere in your house. And I'm going to tell you, like, that's definitely, I don't want to say it's incorrect, but you want to have some type of ventilation. So they do have air cleaners for these. And so one way to do it is to use an air cleaner. And I did order the air cleaner for this. It's also another item that's not completely out yet. Basically, they're also similar devices are used for soldering indoors. So they have just basically like a thing that sucks the smoke up and cleans it and pumps it back into the room. I did get one of those so that I could use this in other places. And if I wanted to take it on a location to engrave things. So I did order one of those. But ideally what I've done here with mine, I'm just going to bring you around the side here real quick. This is really the best way to go. As you can see, an enclosure with a vent. I have an aluminum tube here, which would be to help keep if it caught any sparks. And then eventually mine does go down into a big giant PVC tube that goes out of the shop there. And it's really quiet. I hooked up a fan remote to mine. So I have a remote here. So when I turn this on, it starts that fan that you saw on the floor, which starts drawing the air out of the inside of this container. And it does a really great job. And this was not expensive. I built the fan and the hoses and everything. The fan was only around $25, and it's far better than the little exhaust fan that came with the Laser Pecker enclosure, which is like a little PC fan and that runs off of a USB plug. That I found when I used this, a lot of the material and dust and stuff would accumulate on the inside of the glass. And if you look, this is really clean now. And I've engraved several things with it. But it's because this fan is so much more powerful. It literally does suck the stuff right out of the shop. So that's great. And I do highly recommend that if you are going to get one of these, you may want to look for a better exhaust system for it. So now let's talk a little bit about just the enclosure itself. So inside here, you're probably wondering, what is this thing? So this is something I added. It's not necessary, but for me, I am a knife sharpening shop and repair shop, and I'm engraving a lot of knives. So the reason I have this, and I'll just show you here, is because it's hard to balance a knife necessarily on something flat, but this way I can put the knife on this, and this thing is actually adjustable. It moves in all different directions, so I can make like some fine adjustments with these little knobs here. And usually what I'll do is I'll put a little weight down on here to hold the knife in place, and that's how I'll do an engraving. So if I'm gonna say engrave back here, I'll just put something on there and engrave. Now my fan is nice and strong, so even there are times, as you can see here, if I had to engrave with this, I would have to leave this open. Now I can move it in more, and I can adjust the engraving. The engraving can be anywhere that's on this plate down here, so I can move it all kinds of places in here. But that is one thing that I do kind of wish. I wish they that maybe this was a little bit bigger. I wish this door was like out here, and so that I had more room to put bigger things in without having to leave it open. So it's great if they're really small items, but like something like this with a knife handle sticking out, I would either have to put the knife either completely inside, which I've done. Sometimes I'll do it this way too. So there's always kind of a way to do it. If I want to get it all completely in there, I could just do it like this. I could fold it and then lock that down in there and be able to close the enclosure. But it is just something you need to be aware of. even though you have the enclosure, there are times that you're going to have the door open to engrave something that's bigger, or it might be partially sticking out. But it, like I said, if you have a nice strong fan like I do here, it really pulls everything out anyway. And there are times also when I did the tumblers, I had to take this completely out of this entire thing because this goes on a riser when I use that rotator machine, and I actually set mine up in a completely different way. I had this shooting straight across. I completely removed the case, and the tumbler was sitting up and just spinning this way. So there's lots of ways that you can use this, which is really cool. Now, another one of the engravers that you'll see out there is the Xtool F1. Is very, very similar to the Laser Pecker 4. Now, there are some differences. The Laser Pecker has a larger engraving area, but they both have a 450 nanometer and a 1064 nanometer laser. Now, the Laser Pecker, though, is, and I don't believe the Xtool one can do this. The Laser Pecker is detachable, and like I said, this thing can be turned at any angle, and it can literally be even taken off and be used handheld. Like I could hold it up against something on a wall if I had to engrave or move it. So this had a lot of versatility in ways that you could use it. The Xtool kind of looks like the laser case part of it is enclosed and comes down over the thing. But my concern there, once again, was knowing that I did knives, that I have to sometimes have this thing open, if it's a really big knife or a big tool. So I like the versatility of the Laser Pecker 4 over what I saw with the Xtool. Now, I can't say anything really other than those initial observations about the Xtool because I don't own it. I've never tested one. So I've heard great things about it. I think it's probably a fantastic laser, and I think it's just one of those things you have to decide what's right for you. Now, one of the places where you will hear some criticisms of the Laser Pecker 4 is the software. But I think that's a little bit overblown, and I'm going to tell you what my experiences so far with the software have been. So the Laser Pecker software that is what you're seeing right here on my MacBook. And the Laser Pecker itself can work with your iPhone, an Android phone. I have a Sony tablet right up here, or a Sanyo tablet up here, which uses another completely different operating system. I think it's Google. And it works with all of them. And it also works with Windows machines. Now, for those out there that are new to engraving, I found this software to be really easy to use. It's not super sophisticated. It's not. It's really user friendly, in my opinion. Whether it be the software that's on your phone or the software that's on the computer, and they're all very, very similar. There's some minor differences, especially when you go from like the Windows machine to the Mac. Some things are called a little bit differently, but in general, once you know one of these, you'll be able to use any of the other softwares from Laser Pecker. Now, the other thing that attracted a lot of people to this machine is that it's capable of using Lightburn. Now, I have not used Lightburn yet, but Lightburn is the kind of industry leader out there in laser engraving software. And the Lightburn software kind of uses different terminology, and I think that's one place where some people that are familiar with Lightburn are a little bit critical of the Laser Pecker design space software, but I still think what Laser Pecker did was really great, because honestly, this machine right now, how it is with its current software, is doing everything that I need it to do for my business. Now, will I eventually maybe buy Lightburn because it is a paid program and use it with this laser? I very well might, but right out of the box, right out of this initial software that's very user-friendly, I'm very happy with it. Now, I will say this. There have been some glitches, and if you go online and look at some of the groups, some people have been very, very critical of the Laser Pecker software. The only glitch that I've run into at all has been with the Mac software, and that's if I was to write some text in here. Sometimes on this program, it was clipping the letters, like big letters, off, and that's usually adjusted with the what we call this outside the letters is called padding, and there is a key up here to adjust the padding, but for some reason the software in the Mac just wasn't working correctly, and it still hasn't been completely fixed on the Mac software. Now, I will say this, Laser Pecker has been very responsive. They are constantly doing updates, and they are fixing any little glitches and things that have happened. And when I very first got this a couple months ago, it's probably just about 2 months ago. It hasn't been like several months. There was a lot more, like it was crashing, and there was a lot of things going on with it. But keep in mind, like I bought this as an Indiegogo supporter, and a lot of people also bought it early on as Kickstarter supporters. And if you know anything about those programs, we also knew that this would eventually be going to Amazon and being sold there. But also what I know, because I've done these things before and I've done crowdfunding programs before, you'll save a lot of money, but you're also kind of the guinea pigs in the beginning. So some of the people were really frustrated by some of the software glitches and things that are now, in my opinion, most of these things have been worked out. Have all of them been worked out? No, not all, but they're getting there. And I find that there's almost no glitches with the phone software, and I don't have, like I said, the only problem I've run into on the Mac has been the clipping of text. And we have a really great support group on Facebook. There's a Laser Pecker 4 users group, and we've all been, sharing and helping each other when there has been a little glitch and how to work it. The fix for the clipping text so far is just to put an invisible space above and below text, and you're fine, and then it doesn't clip the text. Now, the problem with that is it does increase the engraving size preview box, so it does make placing your engraving sometimes a little bit more difficult. But like I said, if it's been something that I've known that's going to be the issue, I've done it on my phone, because the phone software has never clipped text on me and has been working just perfectly. And I have talked to people at Laser Pecker, and the person that runs the group for the Facebook group, and he told me that the engineers, they know about the issue. They are going to get to it. They are going to fix it. It's just something that they just haven't gotten around to yet. So keep in mind, Laser Pecker is a smaller company. and I think they only have like 2 software engineers. So, they do get the stuff, but it's not like they have. It's not like they're a big gigantic company with hundreds of engineers to work out some of the glitches. So, but I will say this: if you're now thinking of buying this, you're probably going to have a really great experience compared to some of the very, very early on people. So there were different versions, different series, and they did keep track of the different models that they put out. But what's coming out of the factory now, and they are now selling them on Amazon, and that is one of the things too. If you're really interested in this, there's some nice deals right now on Amazon for Prime Day, which I think today is the last day. It's almost $500 off what its regular retail price is going to be, which is about what I paid for it, which is pretty nice. So I will just say that it is, I think, very user-friendly software, which is nice. And I'll just show you over here. There's a lot of like pre-filled in things to make it easy for you. So if you've never engraved before, when you go to enter stuff into this machine, and right now I'm just bringing it live and linking it with the machine, you'll see here there's a material section. Let me kind of zoom in here, make sure you guys can see this. So over here is the engraving area, and right here we have a big catalog of different items, and it gives you kind of pre-filled in recommendations for the different things. So you can see there's ABS, which is plastic, stainless steel, pure copper, steel, titanium, cardstock paper, leather, PVC, acrylic, aluminum oxide, ABS, and then these are the 2 different lasers. So if you pick the different laser, it also, same type of thing. You might see different things here because they both do different things. So here you're seeing bamboo strips and beechwood, and this little blue indicator means that both lasers can do it. And that's one of the cool things that I have found as I've been studying this and learning more about lasers, is there's a lot of cool little tricks. So even though there are 2 different lasers, the laser that isn't really necessarily made for doing metals still can engrave and do stuff on metals, which I thought was really neat, and I didn't know that before when I was shopping for these. And there's also products and things out there that can make engravings better. So with the 450 nanometer laser, there's things like these sprays that you can spray on the item and then engrave, and it gives you a really beautiful black engraving, even though that this machine can do a black engraving with the other laser. There are some advantages to that. Just lots of little tricks and things that you can learn out there. Another one I recently learned is if you're engraving on wood, which would be the 450 nanometer laser, you can use borax and water, mix it together, and then just rub that solution on the wood and let it dry. And if you engrave on that, it gives you a beautiful black engraving in the wood. Because wood sometimes, and here I'll show you, here's a piece of wood engraving. You'll see this is kind of brown. And if you get it wrong, sometimes it'll even kind of burn. But if I had used the borax and water on this, this would have come out even more black. And another really interesting thing with lasers is depending how they are set up and the depth and the time and the power used, when you're engraving on metal, you can even get different colors. And I haven't messed with that yet, but I did do some stuff with the laser engraving sprays, and I recently did a knife for a detective who works for the police department here, and I used one of the laser engraving sprays, and you can see these really dark ones down here were with the laser engraving spray, and they really came out nice and dark. So there's just a lot of cool things and lots of things that you can learn with the laser. It also does photographs. Here is a tumbler I was doing test engravings on. So fortunately I have a bunch of these that I've gotten over the years. So you can see just, I've tried different things. So there's a lot of testing that you have to do with the laser. It's always good to test different materials. I do a lot of photography. Here is a picture of the soldier at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier that I put onto a slate coaster. So I thought that was really cool. So there's just a lot of things that you can do and have fun with the laser. So for me, business-wise, it was mostly to do engravings on knives, but there really is a lot out there you can do, and you can really make some cool personalized gifts. I will show you again, like I said, the picture of the tumblers I did for my wife for her girlfriend's weekend, and basically we engraved everybody's name. Most of them are actually nicknames on those like Yeti tumblers that the mostly girls drink them, but they're like White Claw drinks and stuff. So they have the tumblers that you can slide the can into, and we did a bunch of those, and that was a lot of fun for me because I got to learn how to use my rotator machine. So that's about it. This has been going on for a long time, and I know it's 26 minutes. And I've been trying to keep the majority of my videos a lot smaller, but I figured if you're out there considering a laser engraver, especially if you're sharpening, and you might want to do this as a business thing, and I'll put some other pictures in here as I'm ending this. I have done quite a few knives. So I've done knives for people's birthdays. I've done like commemorative knives. I had a woman bring me her grandfather's knife, and I just mentioned it to her. I said, hey, would you like to engrave his name on the handle or on the metal of the knife? And it was a high carbon knife, so we decided to do it on the handle, and I'll show you that. It came out really nice. I've done knives for local law enforcement. I get a lot of those guys. I get a lot of fire department and law enforcement. I get a lot of military. I get a lot of chefs. So a lot of my chefs that work in restaurants have engraved their knives so that they don't get mixed up with other people's knives that they work with. So it's really worked out great. And I look forward to getting just more and more use out of it. And it's really been an easy upsell. I can tell you that. I am, for the most part, charging a flat fee of around $20 for an engraving. And if they're doing multiple things, I give them a pretty big discount on the additional engraving. So like something simple, like if a chef wants his name, like Chef whatever, put on their knife, I'll charge a $20 setup fee, and then I might just charge them an additional $5 for additional engravings. But if it's just a one-off item, I'm charging a $20 flat fee, setup fee for doing it. Because even just to do one simple little thing is a good bit of work, And so they do say you should have a shop minimum fee for engravings. Another cool things I've done are EarPod cases. This one's actually my own, so I tested on my own before I, didn't want to ruin somebody else's. So it's always good to test on your own stuff if you can. But that came out great, and that's, I guess, about it. So that's pretty much the update on the laser. I'm really enjoying it, and if you have questions about it, if you want to know more, feel free to reach out, send me emails. I'll try and answer any questions you have if there's something I didn't hit on here. But I am really having a lot of fun with it, and my customers so far really like it and think it's cool. And one of the cool things about having the enclosure too, before the enclosure, I had to wear glasses, and they do give you a pretty decent glasses. So apparently my understanding is A lot of the lasers you see have these like green glasses, and apparently they're not very good, especially for blocking blue lasers. But this amber color is supposed to be better. Mine came with a pair of these, so I would wear those when I didn't have it in the enclosure. But the nice thing about having it in the enclosure too is people that come in the shop can kind of watch it and see it, and that's kind of cool. It's kind of a cool conversation piece. And then I do have the glasses if I needed to give them a pair. And the one thing I did upgrade myself was I did buy an even better pair of glasses for myself. These were about $40. I don't know how much these ones from that came with my laser would be, but you can definitely tell a difference. These ones are a little better. They block more, and I think they both block the dangerous rays, but they actually block more. So if I do have to look at it, it's a little bit easier on my eyes, so I'm not seeing any bright stuff. Because the one laser does kind of look like almost like if someone's welding, but it's just one little dot, but it's real bright, and you probably shouldn't stare at it all. So it's just a nice little extra, like kind of double safety feature, having the enclosure, and then I still wear the glasses even when I have it in the enclosure, just to be on the safe side. So that's the Laser Pecker 4. And like I said, reach out to me if you have any questions about it. And if you're interested in it, today would probably be a great day. I'll leave a link. I knew Amazon did have it on a really nice sale price, which was really close to what I paid for it on Indiegogo. And I think as time goes on, this is going to be just one of the Laser Pecker's probably most popular things. Now, let me just touch on one other thing. So there are other diode lasers. A lot of them you'll see they're in these tracks, and some of them are even more powerful. So some get into much higher wattage. They're usually for cutting wood, and that can be really cool too. The problem for me with that is I don't really have the space for one of those in my shop. I'm limited on space as it is. I have already so many tools in here. Maybe at some point it could be something. And Laser Pecker has one of these coming out. They have one that breaks down and kind of folds up. So it could be something you kind of put out when you need to. But another thing I like about this is it is tiny, as you can see. It fits on my tabletop where I check people out. And it's just a cool conversation piece. And also I like that the enclosure kind of keeps the laser safe, keeps dust and things from the shop getting into the laser. And so that's kind of cool too. So another reason that I like the enclosure is that it does keep the things from when I am doing knife sharpening from getting into the laser. All right, so let's end this here. We're at 33 minutes. Hopefully I can edit some of this down so it's a little bit smaller. I'll put links to all the Laser Pecker stuff in the description of the YouTube video. Just add there too. They are affiliate links. And so that means if you do purchase something through there, that I get a small commission. It doesn't raise the price at all of anything you buy on any affiliate links you see on any of my videos. I do always list them. It is a great way of showing support for the channel. And I just want to say I really appreciate any of you that do use links and buy stuff through there, because it does help me provide more money so that I can buy things to continually review for you guys. And I do buy all the stuff myself, so I don't get any of these things for free. And so the reviews you see are completely my own opinions. That I haven't been provided any of the tools, any of the gear that I use is all purchased with my own money that I make through the shop and from Sharpening. And I do make a little bit from the affiliate links. So I do just want to say thank you if you use them. I do appreciate it. And that's a great way to show appreciation for any channel out there that you like, because almost all YouTube creators have some form of affiliate links. I know I follow Stumpy Nubs and Project Farm and a lot of other places, and I will use their links when I learn something or see something from them that I think is cool and I want to get because they showed it to me, and I like to support them and what they're doing. So that's it. Have a great day, everybody, and I will catch you later.